Okay, folks, on the road to 200, it is Thursday, March 9th. The greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th. It's not up for debate. It's a lyric. It's a lyric. It's a lyric.
I was about to start debate. No, I mean,
It's a
I know
lyric. And
exactly that.
you
Can
know
I
whose
bust?
lyric? You know
Yeah,
whose lyric that is. I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I
Second
knew
round
you.
knockout,
I
dog.
knew you would. I knew you would. The Nets win 3 in a row. Good little win streak. We're right there in the standings with you know who across the river and Bridges. Brooklyn Bridges makes history. Sean Marks is expected to come back as GM. No surprise. KD out for 6 weeks. Kyrie went live on Twitch. We got to play against the Bucks. No Giannis tonight. We're resting players. We'll talk about all of that coming up on a new Talking Nets. Hit the music, Alex.
We're doing that Brooklyn Nets talk right here on Talking Nets. Brooklyn, we go hard. Go hard. Talking Nets. Hosted by Keith McPherson, Robin Lundberg, and Hudson Flynn.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talking Nets, episode 199. The next one will make 200. And I know we've probably done like 215 episodes, but it's a cool little milestone coming up for a podcast that survived a lot of changes and twists and turns, specifically with the team, not just us. But I'd like to welcome in Hudson Flynn and Robin Lundberg. What's up, fellas?
You know, I'm feeling better and better about the Nets Suns trade every day. That's how I'll start.
Nets basketball, more fun than people thought it was going to be, for sure. A three game winning streak, beating the teams we're supposed to beat, plus a real nice one over Boston to snap that losing streak. It's a good time to be a Nets fan. Don't know what's going to happen tonight. Don't know what's going to happen with the Giannis-less Bucks. But as of right now, 3:37 p.m. on Thursday, March 9th, I'm happy to be a Nets fan.
The basketball gods, they are working in interesting ways. We'll get to some of that later on in the episode. But today is March 9th. We're a Brooklyn Nets podcast. We spend time in Brooklyn, and a legendary rapper from Brooklyn died today, many years ago. One Notorious B.I.G. And as you see pictured there, those legendary Brooklyn Coogee jerseys. What other NBA franchise can honor a hip-hop legend? Whether you think he's a GOAT or not is up for debate. I don't really care to debate it, but when I go on WFAN after the game tonight, we'll definitely have some instrumentals lined up to pay tribute to the Notorious. Other than that, you guys remember those uniforms? Weigh in on your thoughts on Biggie. And nobody go ahead and say the thing that every Knicks fan say, oh, if you listen to Biggie rap, he was a Knicks fan. He wouldn't have been a Brooklyn Nets fan.
Well, first of all, Biggie is, undisputably one of the greatest rappers of all time. Unfortunately, his career was that long, which it hurts him. It's not his fault, obviously. But as far as Biggie's work itself, I always wonder the question, life after death or ready to die, which is the preference? Because I'm of the general preference that when you still have the rawness, but you add the polish is when you're at your best. And I would go with life after death because I could make the case that really no album has a slugging percentage as high as life after death. On base percentage, there are other projects, but a slugging percentage, when you got Kick in the Door, and you got
skips.
Yeah, going back to Cali and all the records that are on that album. That's his magnum opus, if you will, in my mind.
For me, I was gonna say that album too, only because I lived that album more. I was a little bit older. I can remember having the cassette tape. I can remember like listening to that album with my brother, who was 10 years older than me. So like that really was his era. I don't think Hudson was alive for that time. He really can't weigh in on any of that.
I can't. And look, I will say, honestly, it really was with the Brooklyn Nets because you have to remember the Nets moved to Brooklyn when I was a lot younger than you guys were. And it was with the Brooklyn Nets kind of like embracing that culture that I kind of got to experience that, obviously in a different way to you guys. But I think, kind of like Robin said, it's really cool to be able to see the Nets embrace not only Biggie, but also just rap culture in general. Obviously, Jay-Z being involved with the Nets. But I mean, I can think back to St. John being at the Nets first game after they had the clean sweep at halftime, I think. And that was kind of before St. John blew up.
Yeah.
And it's just been, it's awesome to see the way the Nets have embraced that, a culture that's obviously so prominent in Brooklyn, and kind of in a unique way across the NBA. They're really plugged into that.
You know what I found the other day? I found a Carter Nets jersey, not Vince, Sean, from the opening concerts, like 8 of them.
Number 4.
Yeah, in a row. And it's got like a little bit of like a car. I don't know how it got stained. And I was asking my wife if she could figure out how to get the stain out of it, because I would rock that again.
Oh, yeah.
Until I can get the Brooklyn Bridges joint. In the meantime,
That's timeless. You don't have to worry about him getting traded. Like,
no, he belongs to Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy.
Brooklyn's finest.
Well, Marcy Projects, Bed-Stuy would be, but you get the point.
Anywho, just always want to give credit and flowers, and Notorious B.I.G. His life was cut too short. We really don't know what he would have been if he got a run like some of these other rappers, but for our purposes with the Brooklyn Nets, I've always thought it was super cool that you come to Brooklyn, you hear Biggie instrumentals, you hear Who Shot Ya, you hear Hypnotized, and those jerseys are iconic. The Coogee jersey, I never got one. I was broke when they first came out. The white ones I didn't like, and you can't find one now. So if anyone has one, I'll trade you a Kyrie light blue 91. I could potentially trade you a Kevin Durant 2022. Hit me up. Getting into the basketball of things, the Nets win 3 in a row. And I said in the open, they lost 4 in a row, a 3-game win streak here, all in double digits. You beat the Celtics. That's what fired us up, right? You beat the Celtics last Friday by 10. Then you go on, handle business Sunday at home against the Hornets. And then you go to Houston and handle business against the team you're supposed to beat. Goodwill. And it's the team getting a chance to practice. It's the team getting a chance to gel, a team getting their identity together. And when you look at those standings, I said that in the open, we're right there. So it was a rough 2 weeks, I would say, in New York for Nets fans, having to hear it from the orange and blue. But they, couldn't handle the Hornets. And when you look at the standings right now, it's neck and neck. And that's what I feel like the Nets have to do. Survive every week. Don't have a bad week and drop too far out of it, and fight for that 6th or 5th seed and try to avoid the play-in the rest of the way. Obviously, we'll talk about the team getting some rest tonight as this road trip continues in Milwaukee. But what are you guys' thoughts now on the last 3 games, getting a little win streak and feeling better about your Brooklyn Nets?
Well, look, first of all, it's the same story, right? The good thing is they're beating the teams that they should beat, the Hornets, the Rockets, the great win against the Celtics, and they're finding their identity. But the story remains Bridges. I mean, that's what we talked about on the last episode, and that's a great thing because it means the consistency is starting to be shown by him. And you see him making plays out of the pick and roll now as a ball handler, and little things like throwing the lobs to Claxton. I thought it was telling after the game when Claxton said, keep seeing more aspects of his game because he's learning how to play make now. And Joe Harris called him a 5-tool player. This is a guy who's averaging 30 points this month, 25 or more since he came to the Nets. I texted Rucco during the game because he kept referencing that one stat. And of course I wanted to, troll my Knicks fans friends and my other Nets hater fan friends with that stat about Bridges. And he had to not miss free throws at the end of the game, but the first player in NBA history to average 25 or more on 50, 40, 90 shooting in the first 10 games with a new team. And that 50, 40, 90 shooting is telling too, because it displays his skill level with that shot. And those mid-range pull-ups and the thing that he's adding to his game now, which is the pull-up three-point shot, which I think he's shooting at 45%. So when you factor in the way this guy plays defense, the fact that he competes, never misses a game. By the way, we're going to talk about players sitting. Bridges is not somebody who's sitting. In contrast to, unfortunately, the guy that he was traded for and how often he has missed games, not to mention the age difference there. You have to be, I mean, you can't be anything else other than thrilled. And I try not to get too ahead of myself, but whenever I have people try to knock me down, say it's only 10 games or whatever, he's doing it on a team that doesn't have that much talent. It would be strange not to be excited about Mikal Bridges if you're an Nets fan. Like, it would be strange.
Yeah, and he's showing that not only has he shown that consistency, but he's shown that ability to adapt. And Robin, you referenced the fact that he's been throwing lobs to Clax to his game. That is something that comes down to a real ability to adapt, because even going back to the James Harden trade, it took James Harden, some consider to be one of the greatest passers in NBA history, a long time to figure out how to get the timing down on a lot of those lobs that he was throwing to Clax and to others. And so it's the little things too, not just the points, not just the rebounds, not just the assists, the blocks, the steals, etc. It is all of it. And it's all of the things that he's doing to help the Nets win games, right? I have to get on him a little bit. Last game he played kind of looked like he was hunting for that 30 points, didn't have his best shooting performance, kind of knocked those stats down a little bit. But he has been putting the Nets in a position to win just about every game they've played. And you have to think back not only to this winning streak, but also to games against the Hawks, to games beyond this win streak where we have the Sixers in that first game, where we have been in a position to win games because of not just Mikal Bridges, but to a large extent, Mikal Bridges. And when you look at the trade, I understand why a lot of people say, well, you're never going to get equal value for Kevin Durant. But I would challenge you, before we see how the draft picks turn out, all of that, the trade is not, a closed story. It's only been 10 games, but I would challenge you to find a more equivalent return for a superstar player in a trade in NBA history, because Mikal Bridges is putting up KD stats.
Like I said before, right? If it was a 1-for-1, you wouldn't be mad, would you?
From a stats
Certainly
perspective, it actually is basically 1-to-1, and we will talk about the Kevin Durant injury. We will talk about Mikal Bridges' availability and the contrast between those two. But the fact that we got Mikal Bridges, and I tweeted this the other day, we got Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, who I think we should sign to a long-term deal,
and 4
first-round picks, and we flipped Jay Crowder. I mean, that's unreal. And say what you will, and we'll talk about this as well, about Sean Marks maybe coming back and being extended and sticking around in Brooklyn for a couple more years. That's in Marks we trust, right? That's GM wizardry. That is,
we have no
him calling
choice
his
but
shot
to
and
trust
hitting a home
this
run.
man. All right, go ahead and flash
the. A lot about it, but yeah, throw it up.
Flash the Mikal Bridges graphic so we can give this guy his flowers. First player in NBA history to average 25 points per game on 50% shooting from the field, 40% shooting from three, and 90% shooting from the free throw line in his first 10 games with the team. Historic. This is a young man who they asked, who was your favorite player growing up? Who'd you idolize? And he thought about it and laughed, and he said, Kevin Durant. Bro is looking like KD. When I see him hit them mid-range shots, when I see him get 30 with ease, and I look up,
the
I'm
three-point pull-up is almost identical to KD's three-point pull-up, actually.
So I can't be mad at that. From Glass Man to Iron Man. And I got love for KD. I love watching KD hoop. I'm honestly disappointed because I enjoyed that game Sunday, Suns versus Mavs. And KD had his best game in a Suns uniform. I know it's only been a couple games, but to see him go down like that, we'll save it for the end of the pod. Next up on our agenda is Sean Marks, who I said we have no choice but to trust in Sean Marks. Here on Talking Nets, we made shirts that said, in Marks, we trust. Even though this summer I was like, Sean Marks, I trusted you, and you screwed everything up. He's coming back. Despite the whole Kevin Durant and Kyrie saga, despite James Harden, and I think what the worst stain on his resume is Ben Simmons. They trust him with these picks to do what he's done before. He will be in charge of this next rebuild. I feel like Joe Tsai has no other. Joe Tsai isn't connected like that. He's got no other place to go, no other guy in mind, nowhere to turn to for a replacement or to even search for a replacement. They're in lockstep. How do you guys feel about Sean Marks being your GM on this next rebuild and the future of this Nets world?
Well, if you go back to why in Marks We Trust was the thing, the why of that is important, because the reason he became a cult hero amongst Nets fans is, the way I put it, is he emerged from a bomb shelter and rebuilt civilization, right? Because the Nets had no assets. I think he said when the trade went down, now I have draft picks. After the KG trade and all that, one of the worst trades in NBA history, as far as what it actually got the Nets versus what they gave up and what it helped set the Celtics up for. So the fact that he was able to put them in the position that they were in is why he got all the praise. Then he brings in the superstars, and really the Nets probably should have won a title in 2021 and didn't. There's an issue with Kyrie Irving being who he is, and that, kind of led to the downfall of everything with the Brooklyn Nets, but I don't put that all on Sean Marks. Now, maybe they could have held Kyrie more accountable during that time period.
Wait, Robin. You see Kyrie for 3 hours a night, and you think
15 other guys in that locker room.
Wait, I think you're confused. I'm kidding. I'm trolling because of the live stream last night.
Not our problem anymore, right? Not Sean Marks' problem anymore. But this was not a surprise because of a few things. One, he did get to make these trades, and he's the one that pulled these off, and it's looking like the Suns trade is going to be a grand slam home run. But more importantly, I think the biggest signal that this was going to happen was the extension for Doc Vaughn. You don't extend the head coach with plans to bring in a new general manager, because you would think the new general manager would be hiring his guy as head coach.
And I think that's a great point, because one of the things that I think a lot of people miss when they say we want Sean Marks to be fired. I'm not even going to humor the Joe Tsai stuff because it's just ridiculous. He's not selling the team, obviously. I think what a lot of people miss is that when a new GM comes in, new GMs want the team to be their team. They want it to be guys they drafted, they traded for, they developed. If you're getting a new GM at this point, you're committing the Nets, I would have to say, to a serious rebuild. Not just the retool that we're doing now. It's a serious rebuild because they are trying to bring in players and coaching staff and whoever onto the team to do something completely new, something completely different. So, okay, yes, let's say they do fire Sean Marks. There's going to be a lot of sadness and annoying and bad times as a Nets fan for significantly longer than the route that we're on right now. And we got Ramon Castro's comment on the tweet on the screen. We're keeping Sean Marks like the Yankees are keeping Brian Cashman. Dang. I don't see that. I don't see that.
Can I argue that Brian Cashman's done a good job? The Yankees are in the playoffs every single season.
He's done the best job of any GM in New York.
I mean, like,
for 20 years.
Every single season. That's the GM can't guarantee a championship. They can put you in contention for a championship consistently.
And not for nothing, you got to give Sean Marks credit, because all the things you're complaining about are things that only happened because he was the guy in charge, right? There's a little bit of hypocrisy there about, oh, well, he didn't know how to handle Kyrie Irving. Well, Kyrie Irving was only a net because Sean Marks made him a net, right?
I guess. I don't hate Sean Marks. I think he had a ton of bullshit to deal with, bro. I think every day he lost sleep over what was going on in this superstar era. I look at Joe Tsai a little differently, but Sean Marks is a good GM, and he's not going to mess this up. I don't think you can mess this up. Like, we'll talk later. Like, we have the Suns' first-round pick, so we'll see. But, yeah, Sean Marks is coming back. He's your GM, and like Hudson said, if you do go to another GM, talk about rebuild. That's a whole culture rebuild. That's changing the whole establishment. Like, I've connected with the Nets and people in the building and got to meet Sean Marks. I just showed you the picture. Like, it's fine. Sean Marks, I understand people are mad about Katie and Kyrie not working out. What did I tell you? That will wear more on them than us. And already a couple weeks later, I'm already right. All right. Now, people have been waiting. So let's go to what I think this podcast, the meat of it will be right now. Alex, roll the videos, whatever you have from. Let's start with KD, actually, not Kyrie, because
Of sports atheists.
You start to wonder about basketball gods
You do.
and all of those things that people
Yes.
talk about, and you shake your head and it doesn't exist. Maybe they do.
Maybe they do.
And they hate us.
They
What
hate
they-
our
what-
guts.
Clearly they do.
But why?
I don't know. I don't know.
What did we ever do to them?
Arizona is a state of sports atheists.
You start to wonder about
God a lot. Like I base my entire like life and existence off of my belief in God. But in sports fandom, I do believe that God governs specific baseball gods, basketball gods, football gods. God's got a lot going on. You know, he has some guys that he trusts out there to handle business and to watch over, certain realms of things. The voices you just heard, those are people that speak on Arizona sports radio, and they are feeling like the basketball gods have done something to them. That sounds like Nets fans had felt like, oh, KD can't stay on the court. Oh, here we go with Kyrie. The big three can't be on the floor together. This universe wasn't ready for a big three. The basketball gods are cursing the Brooklyn Nets. We can never have anything nice. It's nice to not have to worry about this anymore. And I'll pass it around, but I'll say this. No one is celebrating this man's injury. I don't think there's one Nets fan that saw that video and didn't say, oh, yo, that's tough. Like, I don't think any Nets fan said, yeah, KD's hurt, because it doesn't affect our team. It doesn't affect our chances. And whether you hate KD, Kyrie, or whatever, that has nothing to do with injury. You don't root for injury. But I do feel like there's something about karma, there's a saying like revenge is the Lord's work. Like, you're not supposed to seek revenge. You're supposed to let things happen how they happen to people for what they've chosen to do, what they've said, their actions. And I couldn't help but think last night, I'm live on air and I'm talking about a bunch of things in sports, and I see that clip about 35 minutes after it happens. And I had just been talking about how Mikal Bridges is an Iron Man. He played 365 games. Not knocking KD. I literally said on air, I don't want to call him frail, because when you call somebody frail, like, that's a term we use, like, I'll beat your ass. You're hella frail. I'm not looking at like KD's injury right there and attributing that to him being frail. That is a issue with whoever's cleaning and wiping down the floors. That never happens in Brooklyn. Shout out to my guy, Doug Barak, who has plenty videos of KD warming up. I myself have been in Brooklyn to watch KD's warm up. You should, if you never got the chance, it might be too late now, but you should watch KD warm up if you ever get a chance. Like, when they say he does everything full speed, he's got his own routine. He does. That sucks to see him go down like that. But imagine if he did that in a Nets uniform after coming back from being out 8 weeks, where we would be. Iron Man versus Glass Man. Mikal Bridges got hurt in the game against Boston, up in Boston. He went out, walked it off, came back in and finished the game. KD is about to miss 4 to 6 weeks. That changes their fortunes. They just gave up Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and multiple picks to go all in and win a championship this year, right? Like, this year. KD's going to be there for a few more years, but KD is turning 35 this year. So if he's already fragile, if he's already, had Achilles, hamstrings, MCLs, now an ankle, as you get up there in age, I'm telling you, boys, I'm the same age as KD. It's tough, bruh. You can't run the same. You can't jump the same. Just sleeping the wrong way could hurt you. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. And I can't help but think, like, there's a little bit of karma in that. KD did not shit on the Brooklyn Nets on his way out, but he did try and paint the picture again. And I think he said too much. I wish KD said less, because he said so much about, listen, like, I don't have anything to prove to y'all, driving bus. I don't have to drive a bus. I'm doing what's best for me. I didn't know who my teammates were going to be. All of this stuff that he said to explain his situation and getting out to what he thought was a better situation. There are things that are outside of your control. He was able to force a trade and control where he specifically wanted to go. And somehow he's played maybe 3 or 4 games for the Suns, and he's out for the rest of the regular season, and that's going to affect them in their standings, in the seeding, and then going into the playoffs if he's not right.
Well, first of all, I hope he's okay. And I hope he gets back sooner rather than later. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. I won't go as far to say karma. Look, I'm not a religious guy. I'm probably closer to Hindu than I am anything else, in the sense that I believe in putting positive energy into the universe, and hopefully it comes back to you. But I don't know if anything has really changed here. I don't know what happened with the floor. I don't know if it was wet or his ankle just gave out. But if you think about it, look at his Nets tenure. And this is something I'll say Knicks fans were telling me, and was in the back of my head the whole time, is every time Kevin Durant went down when he was in a Nets uniform, you were worried about how quickly he would get back up or when he would return back to the lineup. And that was always the thing that you knew could undo a season, could undo the entire tenure, was a Kevin Durant injury, which happened in back-to-back seasons. Go ahead and look at his career profile right now. And obviously he didn't play his first year in Brooklyn, right? Because of the Achilles. That's a full year he didn't play. The next year he played in 35 games. The next year he played in 55 games. The next year, which is this year, he's played in 42 games so far. So quick math in my head, that's about, an average of 40 games a season, which is half of a season over the last 3 seasons.
Max contract.
When he missed the season before that. So, one of the things that undid the Nets, aside from the drama, is those guys were never on the court. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were hardly ever on the court together. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden were even more infrequently on the court together. And what started the downfall of the whole Nets again this year was Kevin Durant going out. He comes back and he's with the Suns and he gets hurt. Again, I hope he's okay. But it does, it's very rational to make it let you view the Suns trade even more positively. I don't want to even, I almost hesitate to jinx the whole Mikal Bridges thing now that he's done it for so long. But Mikal Bridges is 26, has never missed a game, is putting up KD level stats since he got to Brooklyn. Cam Johnson, damn good player. 4 first-round picks, including the Suns pick this year, which it's not out of the realm of possibility, not likely, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities that becomes a lottery pick. If the Suns spiral and free fall, go into the play-in and lose and are eliminated in the play-in, that's a lottery pick. Not to mention the fact that you just referenced KD's age. This is, I don't think it's likely he's healthier as he gets older and or better as he gets older. And most of those draft picks are in the future on a team that's already relying on Chris Paul, who's damn near 40. So as far as trades go, when you can't judge a trade like that now, it's too early. And the whole goal for the Suns is to win a championship. It's like, you could try to mock the Lakers for trading for Anthony Davis, but they won a championship. So really that's what it was about. If the Suns win a championship, they will consider the trade a win. That doesn't mean it's an L for the Nets. It could still be it could be a win-win. But if you're just like taking an educated guess from what we've seen so far about how this is going to play out going forward, it has the potential to be a lopsided win in the Nets' favor.
Yeah, and look, like you said, nobody is like the Nets fans aren't looking at KD getting hurt last night and him being out for an extended period of time as like good. No one is personally rooting for his failure. Sean Marks is not rooting for KD's failure. He might be rooting for Kyrie's failure. I might be rooting for Kyrie's failure, but Sean Marks isn't rooting for KD's failure. But you have to look at trades and everything with this game in kind of an impersonal way, which I guess is the antithesis of everything Kyrie Irving says. But once again, I don't care. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving as well, and James Harden as well, could not stay on the floor. They couldn't play games for the Nets. And when you go all in on superstars, that means that your depth is not going to be good enough without those superstars to win games on their own. Not in a serious way. If Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were out for this Nets team before we make those trades, and when they were, we were not a team that was winning games. Not a team that's competing for a championship. Not a team that's competing, honestly, for an automatic guaranteed playoff spot. When you make that trade and you choose Mikal Bridges, even if Mikal Bridges, let's take 10 points off his average points per game when he came to Brooklyn. Let's say he's putting up 17 points per game, but he's doing that consistently every single game for the next 4 years. You have to take that, because a player who is not on the floor is not worth anything from a basketball perspective. It's not worth anything from a basketball perspective. And I know people like to get on counting stats as, oh, well, you can't judge a player by, how many 3-pointers they hit. You got to judge it by their 3-point percentage, not how many points they scored, their point per game percentage. But you can't win games if players aren't on the floor. And when you're trying to evaluate this KD trade and the Nets, new look Nets as a whole, you have to judge them by what the outcome is. And if the outcome is players playing and the team that you construct as Sean Marks playing games, then that's a better outcome than going all in on stars who only play half the time, because you can't win like that. You just can't win like that. And if you want to be a Nets fan and you want to be happy, you have to look at the reality of the fact that for as good as that big 3, big 2, whatever could have won the championship, could have been the greatest NBA dynasty of all time, but they didn't play together and they never played. And so you can't win games like that. And if you want to be happy as a Nets fan, you got to realize that, because you can't be running on what ifs. And right now, if the Nets had kept KD, kept Kyrie, you'd be running on what ifs. And that's not a good way to do things.
What I said has already come true. This will wear more on them than us. What I meant by that was this will wear worse on them than it will wear on the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are all right now. The Brooklyn Nets won a couple games, are holding. Future looks bright. I think it's calmed down as far as the chatter in New York about disaster but whatever. They're still a playoff team right now. They've got talented guys right now. And when you look over at the fortunes of the 2 guys that forced their way out, one is hurt right now, and the fans of that team that he's on are talking about basketball gods and why do we not deserve nice. Oh, that sounds familiar. And now we'll speak on the other one who hit the detonate button and blew this whole thing up. Last night, a fan was yelling something to Kyrie, and he went back and forth with the fan. This fan was definitely drunk, dumb, but Kyrie said something about, imagine a fan telling me how to play basketball. Do we have that video, Alex?
You're going to tell me how to play basketball. You want me to tell you about Amazon post? Not like fans telling me how to play basketball. How does that make sense? You want me to tell you how to post on Amazon? You want me to tell you how to post on Amazon? How y'all going to tell me how to play basketball? You want me to tell you about Amazon post? Not like fans telling me how to play basketball.
So I say that this fan was clearly drunk because he's yelling at Kyrie, want me to tell you how to post on Amazon? I never posted a damn thing on Amazon. You can't do that unless you're a seller, unless you're a retailer. But this drunk idiot was basically saying, like, you want me to tell you how to not post a link from Amazon to your Twitter? And obviously he's not clever and quick-witted enough. If you're going to yell at the players, you gotta be better than that. But Kyrie, I think that last night, that interaction inspired his Twitch live, which I didn't see live, but I woke up this morning and I see bro moving his hands and burning incense and talking about 3 hours and Teslas and what gambling has done to basketball and how you think you know me. There's 15 guys on the team. Man, Alex, unload all the videos that you have. If you have 1, if you have 2, if you have 3 from Kyrie's Twitch live last night, because Kyrie is smarter than all of us. He had to sit down in an empty room and talk to randoms on Twitch to educate and enlighten the world last night.
Gentlemen and women keep my name in their mouths every day. For 3 hours and you think you know who I am. You see a few posts. Oh, Kai's woke. Kai got it. Oh, Kai is, oh my goodness, he just doesn't fit into the mold of all the other people. And man, he's different. He's crazy. He's arrogant. He's this. He's that. He's this. All from seeing me from 3 hours. You get all that. Kai, what's Kai gonna do this summer? Does Kai like Dallas? What happened in Brooklyn? What happened in Boston? What happened in Cleveland? Why did you leave LeBron? Why did you leave Jason? Why did you leave Katie? Why did you leave all these people?
We'd like
for
to
3
know.
hours. Get to ask all these legitimate questions. As if 21 hours every day wasn't happening after that. Me. You would think that I'm the cancer in the locker room, as if basketball is an individual sport that one person is supposed to take blame for. It's 15 guys on the team, and I'm the one cancer in the room. That's what it's portrayed as. That's what you guys get. That's what they have fun doing. That's why these older, bitter gentlemen and women keep my name in their mouths every day. For 3 hours, and you think you know who I am.
Okay, so
I wish it was 3 hours.
Trust me,
Honestly, if it was
trust
just
me.
the basketball games, who would be complaining?
I really don't want to spend too much time on this, but it has to be talked about because now imagine if he did this in a Nets uniform, right? Imagine if this was happening in Brooklyn right now. It'd be a much bigger story, but it'd be like, oh, come on, bro. This guy had so many things to say. He also added, how can I be at peace when there are my people enslaved?
How am I free if I know my people aren't free in Africa? How am I free if I know my indigenous people are not free in Australia? How am I free if I know kids are still working on the cobalt mines in the Congo, making Teslas?
That's who he's playing for.
I'll let you guys go for it, yo.
Robin, you look like you're about to burst a vein.
I really don't care. I mean, when I say that, I mean that in all sincerity. I don't care. I don't know, if he was filming on an iPhone there or what he knew about his Nike deal and where his shoes might have been made at that point in time. And I honestly hope the guy's okay. When I see that, I get concerned. I get concerned by his mannerisms and his delivery. Like the way he's speaking there with the incense, it like gives off like supervillain vibes. Like there's.
He's a basketball player.
Well, as a human being, I'm always concerned for anybody who might be going through something. And I don't know anything. I'm not going to speculate on Kyrie. But I'll just leave it at that. I'm concerned about Kyrie. But beyond that, I'm not concerned at all because I don't care. The KD thing is relevant to the Nets. The KD thing is relevant to the Nets. The Suns trade happened. Obviously, KD was under contract longer than Kyrie. We all figured Kyrie was going to be gone. And the Kyrie trade has paid some dividends, by the way, recently with Spencer Dinwiddie's playing much better. Dorian Finney-Smith has at least hit a couple of his threes in recent games rather than missing all of them. So those guys have been contributors. But the Kevin Durant trade is more significant because KD was under contract for however many years it is, with another 3 years after this. Bridges is the guy that KD was traded for. All the first-round picks other than the one from Dallas come from the Phoenix trade, and the Nets have the Suns trade this season. So the KD thing is relevant to the Nets. Kyrie's not relevant to the Nets anymore. And I honestly don't care about him and what's going on there. I guess there is that. I'm not going to say there isn't a part of you that gets a wry smile when you see the Mavericks spiraling in the standings, but other than that, whatever.
I get a smile. I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
I'm tickled by this.
I'm tickled by it. But honestly, the video that I feel like is the most embarrassing out of all of this whole thing is him talking back to the drunk heckler. What, Kyrie, you have played has he played more than 1,000 NBA games? He's played a lot of NBA games. Has he not? There are hecklers that talk to Kyrie, KD, every player in the NBA every night. And he chooses this one drunk guy who's heckling him and isn't like, I'll show you what I can do, and hits a three in his face, something cool like maybe Kobe would have done. But he attacks the basis of this guy's ability to criticize him. It just doesn't make too much sense to me. It doesn't make too much sense to me. And Robin, you pointed out some valid concerns for his mental health. It seems to me that the non-basketball things, whatever they are in his head, are rapidly overtaking the basketball considerations. And that is, if it's his prerogative to do that, if it's his choice, then that's fine. That's fine. I'm glad I don't have to deal with it as a Nets fan, as a Nets basketball podcaster. But for me, it just feels like over the years we have seen him fade away from basketball, and now it only seems as if he cares about the narratives. Is anyone still talking about Kyrie, really? Is anyone still saying that he's a cancer in the locker room, really? I mean, at this point, who is he responding to?
Well, I mean, I do think there was a propensity or a penchant, if you will, during his time in Brooklyn. I noticed when people weren't talking about Kyrie to do something to make people
Bingo.
talk about Kyrie.
That's exactly what it is. So, have you ever been to Dallas, Texas? Either one of you ever gone to?
Yeah. I went to the Super Bowl there.
Okay, outside of going to Jerry World and outside of going to the sporting events, it's Texas, bro.
Yeah.
Like there's just highways and like farms and like, I don't know, barbecue and cowboy hats and Whataburger. It is not like it is around here as far as like many things to do, many things going on. When Kyrie talks about that 3 hours, yeah, that's the only 3 hours that like you matter, bro. And unfortunately, Luka gets hurt last night, and I think he's fine. I think Woj just put out that he's going to return, but things haven't gone that great so far in Dallas. I think they've only won 4 games.
Yeah, I think they're 4-6
since the trade, and so now you're starting to hear some things. And Kyrie himself was the first one to say, "Let's keep it a basketball. Let's not talk about other things. Let's not talk about my future. He asked the media if they could keep it a basketball. But for some reason last night, you can't control him. You can't hijack his voice. Instead of going Instagram live like he used to do when he was over here with us, he went Twitch live and gave people some stuff to think about, which for me, I look at Kyrie and I'm just like, bro, retire. Go fight the fight. Go save the world. Retire and go be what you really want to be. And like Robin saying, it is kind of concerning because he's talking about, you think you know me. Like when someone's doing all that, there's something going on. There's something going on. So I've got nothing else on the Kyrie front. The last thing in the notes, or we got 2 more things in the notes going back to the game tonight. We're facing the Bucks, and I'm slightly disappointed because last time we faced the Bucks in Brooklyn, we battled with them until that terrible end to the third quarter, and it was shot after that. But we were up by 10 first half. So I was ready to run it back in Pfizer Forum now that these guys have practiced and gelled more. And this is a day that the Brooklyn Nets organization circled and said, hey, this is the number 1 team in the East. We're going to rest Nick Claxton. He's got a thumb sprain, Achilles, whatever. Cam Johnson, right knee soreness. Royce O'Neal, left knee soreness. Ben Simmons, my neck, my back, my neck, and my back. Left knee and back soreness. And also Spencer Dinwiddie is added into that. And, for a while, D Rose was known as general soreness. All this soreness, everybody's sore. That's what I said on the radio last night. Everybody's sore. If you exist, like sometimes my left toe hurts. I think I have a problem with my shoe size. I need wider shoes. So I have foot soreness, but I have to go to work still. I have to drive. I have to walk around. This is load managing. This is scheduled. And if they lose this game tonight, they clearly don't care. Giannis is not going to play. I'm still pumped up to watch the game. Cam time. Ain't shit funny time. Let's see it, Cam. Here you go. Mikal Bridges is Iron Man. He said, no, you're not. No, I don't need any rest. You're not putting me on that list. I got a streak. Keep my streak going. So you expect to see Nerlens Noel get a start? Who else? I'm rounding out. Oh,
Edmund Sumner. It might be Sumner Thomas.
Back? Is he?
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah. There you go. So Edmund Sumner, Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Nerlens Noel. Most likely your starting 5 tonight, if we guess.
With Yuta Watanabe playing backup center would be my guess. And that leads into the premium chat we missed earlier in the show from D-Rock, who says, speaking of roster construction, why small ball? I would say the small ball was a thought process around spreading the floor for KD and Kyrie. It's hard to tell exactly what the process of this roster is going to be without an offseason, but I wouldn't consider the Nets, they're not very bulky, but I wouldn't consider the Nets a small team right now when you throw out Dorian Finney-Smith and Mikal Bridges and Royce O'Neal on the wing with Noel, with Claxton. If Ben Simmons is in the rotation at some point, another big guy. So I don't know how small they are. I think Jacques Vaughn alluded to what was going to happen earlier in the week when he was asked about Cam Thomas, and he said, he could play 30 minutes in the next game. He probably knew. it's a bummer about the state of the league that this happens, but it is par for the course. And it seems to me the strategy is they got a back-to-back. They're going to rest people in this back-to-back. They looked at the back-to-back and they said, all right, in Milwaukee or in Minnesota, maybe is the game we have the better chance to win. And they decided to do it in Milwaukee. But then the Giannis variable comes into play, which makes it more of a winnable game than it looked like before.
I could see Cam Thomas doing his thing again, like he did against the Pacers a while back, getting that win, in one of those rest games. Honestly, obviously, Giannis going out is probably honestly in response to the Nets showing that they were going to load manage in this game. It's kind of an unfortunate thing that we have to talk about. But if you're the Nets and you're looking at, we have to win as many games as we possibly can, not just to try to catch the Knicks, who are only one game ahead of us right now, but also to keep the 3 games behind us, 7 seed Heat, at bay. It makes sense to look at it and say, okay, we're doing everything we can to fight to stay out of the play-in. We got 2 games here. We could put up a good fight against the Bucks, but even fully healthy, we might not be able to beat them, and then we'll be too tired going into a game against a good mini team. I understand it. It's unfortunate. I'll be excited to watch Nerlens Noel tonight. He showed some interesting signs, kind of like Jacques Vaughn was looking for in the game against the Rockets. I think he's going to have to get much more run tonight, so that'll be interesting to see. It's not a wash, definitely, the way some people said it was before Giannis got ruled out. It'll be interesting to watch. It'll also be interesting to see Cam Thomas, if he is going to bounce back from going 7-minute DMP, or if he's going to regress a little bit. We'll see what happens there. If you're a Nets fan, there's a lot of reasons to watch this game. And I think actually we could pull out a win here, because it really is impossible to overstate Giannis's importance, not just, on a game-to-game basis, but just for the whole character of the team, that Bucks team, the way they play.
All right. I know you guys might have to run. Hudson might have to run. Robin, we have 5 voicemails. I haven't screened them, but if you guys got to go, I can bring it home.
Nah, run them through.
Let's start it. The last thing in the notes is that Ben Simmons just listed his Los Angeles home for $20 million. So I don't know. Just figure out a way to get him the fuck out of Brooklyn. I don't care. Just figure out a way to get him out of here.
Yeah, I'm definitely not talking about Ben Simmons off the court highlights.
It would have been funnier if you just ended your video and left. All right, first voicemail.
What's up, Talking Nets? This is Greg Hurdle. Again, just keep doing what y'all doing. And I think the Nets, I'll be surprised if the Brooklyn Nets can and will win against the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, if anything, reality, they'll be 2-2 on the road. Other than that, just keep doing what y'all doing. Let's go Nets. And what's y'all take on the referee that is dissed by Fred VanVleet? Because it may sound funny, but this is serious. The NBA referees today reminds me of Tim Donaghy's. And if the NBA don't do something about replacing the referees and have a referee that is fair and balanced, I don't think the NBA is going to have a future down the road. So I'm glad Fred VanVleet speaks his mind. Something needs to be done with the referees, because we cannot call false call games and us paying hard earning money tickets to watch our teams losing because of the refs. Look what happened last year against the Celtics. I think referees played a part, so something needs to be done. Let's go Nets.
I haven't watched tape on that particular referee. I would say that the refs have a tough job. It's a really tough sport to officiate, especially nowadays. There's so many possessions. And then I think they need to take a look at how they officiate the games, just period, because one of my biggest issues as a whole is there are a lot of guys who are now attempting to draw shooting fouls without attempting to shoot. And I think there needs to be a penalty against that, where if you're it's one thing to draw a foul in the act of shooting. It's another thing to try and deceive and get a shot out of a play without ever intending to shoot.
Do you think
the
they should do flop warnings
Well,
for that kind of a?
I think it should be a turnover. If you try to draw a shooting foul without attempting to shoot the ball, it's a turnover. And then there's also, it's tough because of how ticky-tack jump shooting is officiated, which puts the ref in a tough spot. And then guys are chirping at them every play up and down the court. So I actually feel bad for the refs.
All right, quickly for people that don't know or might have missed this, last night the Raptors they lost to the Clippers, and the Raptors were called for 23 fouls to the Clippers 18, but LA had 31 free throw attempts compared to 14 for Toronto. Fred was whistled for a technical foul by Taylor with 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter, and the Clippers were up by 7. So then in the post game, he goes on to say, "I don't mind. I'll take a fine. I don't really care. I thought Ben Taylor was fucking terrible tonight." I think that on most nights, out of the 3 officials, there's 1 or 2 that just fucked the game up. It's been like that a couple games in a row. And losing on Monday at Denver was tough, obviously. You come out tonight competing pretty hard, and I get a bullshit tech that changes the whole dynamic of the game, changes the whole flow of the game. Most of the refs are trying hard. I like a lot of the refs. They're trying hard. They're pretty fair and communicate well. And then you got the other ones who just don't want to be dicks and just kind of fuck the game up, and no one's coming to see that shit. They come to see the players. So that's the exact quote from Fred VanVleet. I loved it. I'm like, if that's how you feel, say how you feel after the game, because that's basketball stuff. They're asking you questions about the game. If that's how you feel about the game, that's intel that we don't get watching the game. We can't necessarily see that. You can see a little bit of it. And what I'll say is we all watch these games. There's been multiple Nets games this year where I'm like, these refs have fucked the game up in the first quarter. Right? Remember that Philly game? KD was tweeting, this game's going to go to midnight. We're like, what the fuck? What's going on? They will figure it out. Every year we're seeing changes to the NBA officiating. There will be some more changes next year, but it is what it is. Like Robin said, these guys have a hard job. A lot of times these guys are in awe. I always laugh. I follow the snitch ref, and snitch ref has every carry and walk that goes on in the NBA. And a lot of times I'm just like, damn, these refs are literally watching the game from the best seat in the house.
Yo, what's up, fellas? Yo, listen, man, great show, Keith, Hudson, Robin. Hey, everybody, you guys do a great job of it. Real quick, I don't believe that Cam Thomas is going to be part of the future. I believe we're going to trade him on draft night for a first-round pick. How high of a pick do you think we can get for Cam Thomas? So that's my question for you. How high of a pick in this upcoming draft do you think we can get for Cam? It's not that I don't love his talent. I do, but there's something going on, and I don't think he's part of the future. So just want to get your feedback. Peace out, fellas. You keep up the good work.
We can get a first-round pick for Cam Thomas?
I think so.
I think on a team like the Rockets or the Thunder, who just have a glut of them, especially the Thunder, who has a glut of them. Why not? If you're a team like that, why not take a flyer on Cam Thomas?
Well, we need to improve his value tonight. We need to keep his stock high tonight.
Cam also could be used as part of a larger package. So who knows what they're going to do. I said at the beginning of the year, before those Cam Thomas breakout games, he always seemed like somebody that needed to be on the Orlando Magic, right? Or one of these teams, the Detroit Pistons, where he's going to get to play 30-plus minutes a night and shoot the ball a bunch. I don't know exactly where his value is, but I think he showed enough tantalizing ability where it's not nothing.
Yeah, he's certainly worth a lot more than we paid for him. A late first round pick. I think he's worth a lot more than we paid for him. Honestly, at this point, and there's nothing really for me to infer from anything we've seen other than just the way he has been in the last couple of games. A lot of people are saying that there's got to be something behind the scenes. There has to be something behind the scenes where there's got to be something going on. Honestly, I don't know. I just don't know if the Nets, not that they don't need it, but that the Nets are in a position where they want another ball-dominant ball handler, because at this point, you got Spencer Dinwiddie, you have Mikal Bridges, who are going to be demanding and have just earned the ability to demand the lion's share of the ball. What do you do with him? And the Nets are on this 3-game winning streak with him playing limited minutes, and you got to kind of look at wins results. Like Jacques Vaughn was saying, 40 points in a loss is great for a player, but not for a team.
Yeah, in the chat, Raya15 is thinking exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, Cam alone? I've been thinking for a while the only way to get Ben out of here is to put Cam in the deal. And Raya said, might have to send Cam and a pick to get rid of Ben. Shake my head. Okay,
especially because the kind of team that can take on Ben Simmons' contract is going to be interested in a Cam Thomas.
So I don't know. I just don't look at Cam Thomas as a player that you can trade straight up for a first-round pick. But what do I know? Maybe. We'll see what he does tonight. Let's go, Cam. Drop 40.
Yo, what up, Talking Nets? This your boy Rahala. Yo, listen, real quick. I just got two things to say. One, the Nets, they mopped the floors way better than Phoenix. That's one. Two, KD never wanted to leave Brooklyn to begin with until Kyrie detonated the whole place. But whatever, that's over with. And three, Kyrie's still moping around now on the IG or whatever the hell he's doing. Glad he not with the Nets no more. Got to deal with his barbarian ideas and posts and whatever. The point is, I'm loving the Nets right now, man. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the good vibes going. And Mikal Bridges plays every day. Have a good day, fellas.
Hey,
that's a 10 out of 10.
Rehalla's in the chat. Shout out to Rehala.
That's a 10 out of 10 voicemail. That's a 10 out of 10 voicemail. Hit all the notes. That was great.
KD, again, I hope he's okay. But I am a little tired of the idea he didn't want to leave the Nets. He asked for a trade in the summer. And then as
he
soon
wanted
as
to finish this season, I think, but he was ready to move on from the Nets.
And he was attached to whatever Kyrie was doing, whether they're friends or not still. As soon as Kyrie wanted out, he wanted out. So I'm not sitting here with crocodile tears for the idea of, this guy who wanted to be a Net so bad is gone.
I mean, maybe he didn't want to be a Net, but he wanted to play on a team that was going to win a championship with, him helping more,
I'm looking at the transcript. Did you say Kyrie's ideas were barbarian?
That Kyrie's you're gonna get your own post.
Well, no, they're indigenous, not by barbarian.
I'll have tears in my eyes. I'm reading the transcript, trying to see.
Can we post a screenshot? Can we post a screenshot of the transcript? That's so good.
Kyrie and his barbarian talk. All right, yo. Next voicemail, man. He said we're gonna have to deal with Kyrie going live with his barbarian.
Yeah, hey Keith, this is Chris from Jersey. Now that Sean Marks is back, we know that he's going to be the GM of the future, and we pretty much identified the core players that we want to keep. You see, what position do you see us going after? In the offseason, I'm thinking point guard. And if we do, I want to see if Trae Young is available, LaMelo Ball, Zach LaVine, an all-star caliber player. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. And I wanted to shout out Spencer Dinwiddie for the job that he's been doing during these last 3 wins. And Nick Claxton on the boards. He's had 12, and 13 rebounds. But those are the 2 positions, right? I think you still need a point guard. If you can get a star, I know people are talking about Trae Young or Damian Lillard. I don't think either one of them. And then a backup center, another center, maybe somebody that's a little, beefier, a little more brolic, a little bigger than Nick Claxton. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think a dynamic guard is probably the number one need. A dynamic guard. Look, I love Damian Lillard, but he's getting older, and what you'd have to trade to get him. Same thing with Trae Young. What you'd have to trade to get him. I love the idea of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Right. But again, I don't know if the Thunder just want to let him go. So I don't know what exactly is going to happen. People didn't think Jalen Brunson was the answer for the Knicks a year ago. So there are guys waiting in the wings. People didn't know what Mikal Bridges was either. But as far as a need, I'm not going to say a specific guy and say it's got to be this guy, but I would say a dynamic guard.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the Nets, right, if you think Nick Claxton is a star, that's your star big man. If you think Mikal Bridges is a star, that's your star small forward, wing type player. That just leaves point guard, shooting guard, right? So a 2-way point guard would be great. If SGA is available, I will pay whatever it takes. Not my money to get SGA on the Nets. He's awesome.
All right, last voicemail, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Alex, check your text. I just messaged you in the chat. Last voicemail. Let's see. Will it play? Will it play? Will it play?
Yo, what up, Keith? What up, Talking Nets? Yo, listen, this big fan Breezy, and I
Breezy
feel
in
like
the chat.
Thomas gonna have a good night. Us having this 3-game win, going into the Buck game with the momentum, I feel focused. I feel like we are building the culture around the coach, opposed to superstar free agents who didn't prove loyalty to nobody before they got here. Hold on, let me slow it down. We're doing the right thing by getting Spencer Dinwiddie back. Joe Harris, and I contribute Joe Harris playing well because Spencer is back. I think the coach is coming back. You might even get the benchmark back. I mean, it's a good time to be a Nets fan. Listen, I think Kim Thomas going to have a great night. I'm saying 30+. I'll take it there. As Ed come to play, we definitely winning. I'm confident going into tonight's game. I know I want to make this short and sweet. So, again, shout out to Talking Nets. I'm a fan of the show. Let's get this win tonight. Peace.
Big fan, Breezy. Appreciate you. Where you at in the chat? I know I saw you in the chat earlier. You might have dipped out. But, yeah, I'm confident that the Nets can contend tonight. Like, they can compete tonight, that they will be challenging the Bucks without Giannis tonight. I'm not saying they're going to win because these guys are, like, think about it. Like, you've got guys like Nerlens Noel playing his second game. These guys are now playing without pieces that have been in there. Spencer Dinwiddie's been the point guard. He's not going to be in there. Cam Johnson, we're missing one of the twins. Royce coming off the bench has been pretty big, but you know, it is what it is.
To win though, right? That'd be a big flip, right? Could put us. I mean, obviously, it gives us the 4-game win streak with a well-rested team against the T-Wolves. I mean, if we could win, I'm not saying that I think that we're going to. I would put my money on no, but if we could win, that'd be a huge boost. That'd be a huge boost for us going forward.
Yeah, I think it's just about doing okay on this stretch of road games here. I think that's the most make it through this road trip, doing okay. The schedule softens up towards the end of the season. Up 3 games on Miami right now, so there is a little bit of a cushion, not a crazy cushion, but a little bit of a cushion. And so I think if they emerge unscathed from this next stretch of 4 games, then they'll be in position to hold 6.
All right, folks, that's all we got. Hit like if you're in the chat. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hey, throw that back up. So here's the transcript. Holla called in. He said Kyrie's still moping around now and on IG and whatever the hell he's doing. Glad he's not with the Nets no more. Got to deal with his barbarian idea. I have no idea what that means, but I love it. I'm going to use that. That's a bar right there. Barbarian idea.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Oh, shit. That one tickled me, bro. I'm not even kidding. Like, I teared up laughing when I heard him say, Kyrie. I never heard anybody refer to Kyrie as a barbarian or his thoughts being barbaric. All right, yo. That's all we got. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll be back next week with a couple new episodes. Make sure you like the pod, subscribe, and follow us on social media. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn.